It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you. This is Dr. Jason Johnson's YouTube page. Please like, subscribe, and share because I know you're going to love what you have to hear, even when it's bad news. This is Dr. Jason Johnson's YouTube. We have three things to talk about today based on what's happening in the world, which I know is crazy. If you are new to this YouTube channel, I know you're going to want to play, so please like, subscribe, and share. If you are familiar with this channel, you know that we go the first 1 minute. I explain what my three things are for the day. You will see those on Blue Sky. You will see those on Instagram. You will see those on Twitter. My mama called it Twitter. I'm always going to call it Twitter. But the full story is on my YouTube page. Go to Dr. Jason Johnson on YouTube. So, yeah, what's happening in the world? Well, maybe the United States went and bombed Venezuela. So our three things for today are very, very important for not just how this country is operating, for what you understand about this country operating. Number one, why did the Trump administration attack Venezuela? What does that mean that the United States has Maduro? What the heck is going to go on? That's our first thing. Number two, what's actually going on in Venezuela? Most people don't even know where the country is. They don't know what's happening there. They don't know the background. They know nothing. So what is actually happening in Venezuela that may have led to what the United States did? And number three, what's going to happen from now on? Is this a full-scale war? Is this some sort of regional conflict? What are we facing as American people? So those are the three things for today. We are starting quickly because this is bananas and insane and dangerous and bad. So first thing, why did the United States attack Venezuela? Well, we can do the why the chicken crossed the road sort of situation, but it's really basic. You just listen to the President of the United States. It's about oil. He ran saying we were going to go to other countries and take their oil. He ran saying we're going to bomb places that we don't like back into the third world. That is why the United States attacked Venezuela. It doesn't have to do with drugs. It doesn't have to do with narco-terrorism. It doesn't have to do with any of that. It is the United States and the tech oligarchs, the Rockbridge Group, and the financial oil titans and all those people. It's the energy people saying, hey, use the United States as a giant war hammer to go around the world, hammer other people over the head, and take their oil. That is literally what this is about. If anyone tells you that it has anything to do with a humanitarian crisis, if it has anything to do with drugs, if it has anything to do with anything other than oil, they are lying to you. So that's the first thing that you got to understand why the United States is doing it. It's about oil. Now, a deeper thing for why the United States is going there. One, it ain't about oil for me and you, right? If you are a Generation Xer, as I am, you remember the Gulf War, and we were all told during the Gulf War back in 1991. We were told during the invasion of Kuwait and Afghanistan back in 2002, we were told, oh, hey, the United States will take over these sort of wayward countries, these dangerous situations, will stabilize how they get their oil, and then it's going to be cheap gas for everybody. Gas is going to be cheaper than Slurpees. We're going to be drinking gas. We're going to be putting gas mixers in our Kool-Aid, right? Well, that never happens, because the gas and the oil end up in the hands of sort of commodity speculators and oil companies, and they just hoard it. Nothing gets cheaper, right? So the main justification for this is about the acquisition of a resource. It ain't about anything that has to do with the markets, because the markets aren't going to help us one way or another. Here's the other thing, and this is important to understand about why this attack happened. It's also because you have an administration that is driven by people who desperately want to play war games. A lot of this is Pete Hegseth, who's, FA, FO, whatever it is. Sure, Pete. Or Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who has wanted to sort of reorganize a lot of South and Central America ever since he got into the Senate in the state of Florida. And they have this vision of basically, as the president called it, the Dunroe Doctrine. No, it's the Monroe Doctrine that goes back to the 1800s, which is basically the idea that the United States should be more or less in control of everything that sort of happens in our hemisphere. The problem is there's lots of other people in our hemisphere, like, the Canadians and other people who have a different idea. So that's what this is about. It is about control. It is about oil. It is about a philosophy of control. And that's that. Don't let anyone else tell you anything else about how this is going to go down or what this is really about. So, number two, a little bit about Venezuela. And I think this is important, and you guys hear me say this all the time. This is one thing that's really important for me. As I say, this is Dr. Jason Johnson, why I tell you, please like, subscribe, and share, because we all have good information here. Don't let people on TV, don't let people on Instagram just start running their mouths about things. I spent the better part of last night and today talking to experts, doing research, doing background, combining that with my own expertise in American domestic politics before I make these videos. Don't just trust anybody just talking out of their rear end. Even if they're on the right side of where you believe in things philosophically, it doesn't mean that they're informed. So what do we really know about Venezuela? What do you need to know about Venezuela? Venezuela, about 20, 25 years ago, was the most financially successful, most educated, and probably one of the most advanced countries in South America. That's just a fact. The country was actually doing very, very well financially, politically, economic, in a lot of different ways. And then you had Hugo Chavez come to power, and he was extremely problematic, not just from the United States perspective, but even from the perspective of many people in Venezuela. Now, there was a coup attempt against Hugo Chavez in 2002. It only lasted for about 48 hours. His own government had kicked him out and said we were going to hold free elections. They had some problems as well. Chavez came back into power because the people were like, hey, we may not like everything Chavez does, but we like him better than the other people. Then Chavez leaves office, he dies, and then you get the current leader, Maduro. Now, here's the thing about Maduro. Here's what you need to understand at a very basic level about what has been going on in Venezuela. 7 million. That's the number I want you to, not 6 million, not 6, 7, 7 million. That's the number I need you to know. 7 million people have fled Venezuela in the last decade under the leadership of Maduro. So I need people to understand when we say that Maduro is not a good leader, that Maduro is not democratic, that he's not left-wing in any substantive way, he has led to 7 million people fleeing his country. The next largest sort of refugee crisis that you have in the world is the number of people fleeing Syria. Okay. And so you can't just claim it's like, oh, that's the liberal elites. No, that's regular people. People are fleeing Venezuela because of Maduro's leadership. Why? Because he's got secret police, because he's corrupt, because he stole an election in 2024 that the rest of the planet said, hey, this is not a clear election. There was no data to prove that he actually won. They refused to release data that he won. The reason I'm wearing this shirt, this is IFE, right? This is the Instituto Federal Electoral, sorry, I'm saying it wrong. It's the Federal Election Institute in Mexico. I actually worked as an international elections observer in several Mexican elections. So I wore this in particular today because I know how important it is when you have leadership that is fairly and justifiably elected and what that does for the country. That's not the case with Maduro, okay? This guy has been a bad leader. It's not clear how much of the country still wants him, but he has been a bad leader. So his removal, right, by the United States, as I'm going to start with my new series, two things can be true. Maduro is a bad guy, and what the United States did is wrong. Okay? The people in Venezuela, some of them are happy that Maduro is gone. Some of them sort of feel like, well, we wish he wasn't leaving as a prisoner of the United States of America because we don't trust the Americans. So rest assured that what has happened is a reflection of years and years and years of a country being run by leaders and leadership that they don't necessarily like. The man stole an election last year. He forced opposition leaders to flee the country. Venezuela is not in a very good place right now. And believe it or not, the attacks probably don't make it any better. Now, number 3, real quick. What's going to happen? This is the part where I love to, open up a magical crystal ball and tell you all the future. And I can't. I can't do that because we're in uncharted territory. This is not Iraq. This is not Iraq. This is not Iran. This is not Afghanistan. This is not any of those instances. There is little or no public support. You can see the data, right? I'm showing you some of the videos here, some of the polling. There's little or no public support for an invasion of Venezuela. Bombing is one thing, and invasion is something else entirely. Boots on the ground, the President of the United States and this administration says they might put boots on the ground. That will be an absolutely idiotic idea. It is very difficult, extremely difficult to invade the city of Caracas. You've got a bunch of mountains around there. It's not one of those things where you can just sort of drop in amphibious troops. Even though you're near the water, you got to dig through the mountains. You got to get to the sort of things to get there. That would require us to manage a country that imports a tremendous amount of its own food. That will require us to manage a country. And let's be clear, under the Maduro regime, there has been an explosion of weapons throughout Venezuela. Venezuela is one of the most well-armed countries, just regular citizens. I'm not talking about the military. I'm talking about the regular citizens are incredibly well-armed. and they're not going to be happy with American invaders. So if we were trying to put boots on the ground in that country, yes, they don't have much of a military to speak to, but they certainly have a lot of people who would not want us there and would make things extremely difficult. So why, or what can we expect sort of going forward? Quite frankly, this is the big trick, and this is the thing that I don't think a lot of people understand. The United States didn't really remove Maduro. Every expert who I've talked to have said he basically got sold out by his own people. And that makes the most sense for me. Not just because it's extremely difficult to do these kinds of raids without inside help, but the man was unpopular. And if you saw, our jets came in, bombed some anti-aircraft stuff, and they grabbed him. And if you have any doubt that that might be the case, remember what happened with Saddam Hussein. The U.S. found him in a hole in the ground. Well, why was he in a hole in the ground where it was locked from the outside? Because Saddam's own people sold him out. So that's likely what's happened with Maduro. So in the future, are we going to see boots on the ground? I doubt it. I suspect what's going to happen is the leadership of that country will step in, having removed someone that they don't like. They'll probably continue through with the oil deals that Maduro was offering the United States in order to prevent himself from being removed. And little or nothing will be done about the drug crisis in the United States, because the vast majority of the drugs and illegal drugs that come into this country are still coming in through Mexico and still coming in through Colombia. So those are the three things. Number one, why did the United States attack Venezuela? Oil, 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 and oil, and because this is how this regime operates. Number two, what's going on in Venezuela? You have a country that's on the verge of economic collapse, a massive migration of people who have been leaving for a long time because of bad leadership. And number three, what's likely to happen? Maduro is going to be replaced by somebody in his own regime who very likely sold him out. They will cut an oil deal with the United States, and nothing will necessarily improve for that country or us. Those are three things. I wish I had something more positive to tell you, but it's the truth. Please like, subscribe, and share this. Dr. Jason Johnson. I'll see you soon.